and we're going to start by listening to the people who actually are attending. So I'm very grateful that you're here. Don't put this copy in. Okay. I want to thank ZAKA because they are really the reason that we're here. I want to thank Dr. Andy Zeidman, who arranged for ZAKA and their representatives to be here. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the ZAKA, sadly, they're predominantly ultra-Orthodox men who pick up the body parts of the dead bodies after an attack in Israel so that they can have a proper burial. They are the victims, but they're not the only victims. Their families and friends are also suffering. And consequently, they've expanded their area, and we're very honored to have Vered Atzmon Meshulam with us, who is a medical psychologist and chief of resilience at ZAKA and chair of One Resilience. So it's not just that Jews are attacked, but that they fight back and that they recover. And so this is about the recovery process. And we think of it as the Israeli PSTD on steroids, but they're doing a great job. So we're very honored, very pleased that they're here. And so I want to tell you a little bit about Vered and ZAKA, and then I will introduce other speakers here. We have some wonderful people who have joined us, and I'm very grateful for that. So while I said that ZAKA takes care of the Israeli victims, they also established a minorities units with Bedouin, Muslim, and Druze volunteers to serve Israel's non-Jewish communities, primarily Bedouin in the Negev and Druze in the Galilee. And these units can function in ways that on the Jewish Sabbath and holidays that Jewish providers of the service cannot. So this is an attempt to expand their mission and to do good in the world, because that is really the mission of Jews, and following the Bible in terms of what we're going to do. Having said that, ZAKA also has the status of a consultant NGO. So they are connected to the United Nations. And I'm very, very excited about that because I know what the bureaucracy in the United Nations is. Now, having said that, let me tell you a little bit about our first speaker, who is Vered Atzmon Meshulam, the medical psychologist. So just bear with me. She is the founder of Emotional Loss to Trauma. Excuse me, please take a seat, and thank you. She is active in the Resilience Division. She developed a unique model for intervention in trauma crises, which combines psychological tools with a spiritual approach, with the aim of helping patients grow out of crises. As an expert in the fields of loss, grief, and strengthening personal and group resilience, Vered offers consultation and support to organizations and communities with an emphasis on personalization and sensitivity to individual needs. And she once, this is a quote from her, "Those who serve the dead with dignity deserve a sacred space for them to rest." And she was very involved after the October 7th attack, where the remains of many of the victims were brought. And she said, "We weren't dealing with trauma in theory anymore. We were standing inside of it, walking between burned remains, wounded bodies and families, identifying their beloved ones in a heartbreaking silence." So it opened her eyes and her heart to the healing power of devotion and their spiritual strength and quiet peace.
And I just want to get some inside scoop on the menu because I have certain.
Whoever is speaking, mute yourself. If you just mute everybody, I'd appreciate it, because we can't have multiple voices. And so she recognized the pain and suffering, and she developed a retreat to help them process the trauma that they had been through. So having said that, please let's welcome Vered Meshulam, Vered Atzmon Meshulam, thank you so much.
So we'll start with a video clip that we made for showing you all our program in Israel. It's a national program for all our 3,000 volunteers, and then I will introduce myself and tell you about our work.
We went through house by house to clean and make sure that not even a drop of blood is left.
It took me 5 months before I realized that I was traumatized.
You can't let the soul carry all the pain and the trauma without giving the soul any kind of tool
To help our brothers and sisters from ZAKA that got very hurt by the October 7th.
כשאני נמצא בסביבה של עוד אנשים שחוו את מה שאתה חווית והרגשות הם אותם רגשות, אז זה גם עוד סוג של איזה עוגן שהנה החיים יכולים להמשיך.
during lots of retreats, lots of group therapies. We are using breathing techniques. We are teaching them imaginary guidance that they can use afterwards. The main goal is, first of all, to give them the understanding that they are not alone. Every retreat, I'm always surprised to acknowledge that there is still stories that shocking me. This is our chance to heal our generational traumas that we are delivering for more than 2,000 years. Who can be more master in that than us?
Thank you so much for coming here and joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates, colleagues, and friends, thank you for being here with us. 2 years after a war that changed every one of us, we stand together, Israelis, American Jews, and communities around the world, united by strength, compassion, and an unbreakable shared destiny. Before I introduce myself, I want to pause and offer deep gratitude. The partnership between the Jewish communities of the United States and the global diaspora and Israel has revealed a force none of us will ever forget. Your solidarity, your generosity, your voices, and your unwavering presence carried us through the darkest days. In those moments, we discovered something profound. We are truly one soul. And I also want to acknowledge the clarity and the steadfast support shown by President Trump during this time. Leadership matters, moral clarity matters, and his support empowered us, strengthened us, and helping bring us to this moment where we can begin to rebuild and heal. Because of your partnership, your courage, and your love for Israel, we are stepping into a new era, one we will shape together. And with that, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Vered Atzmon-Meshulam. I'm a medical psychologist for the last 20 years, a trauma and post-traumatic growth specialist, a first responder at the October 7th, and the founder and head of the ZAKA Resilience Division, which today supports thousands of volunteers, responders across Israel. Before I stood here as a professional, I stood as a witness while I accompanied families during the identification of their beloved ones, moments of unbearable pain, where the smell, the sights, and the cries of shattered parents pierced my soul and became a lifelong commandment to preserve memory, to carry testimony, and to create healing and unity so that none of this will be in vain. Today, I want to speak with you about three things that are deeply connected: trauma, post-traumatic growth, and antisemitism. Not as separated topics, because they are all intertwined and it's one human, very hard story. Trauma is not only suffering and pain, and I can tell you from my experience, trauma is a rupture in meaning. It forces us to ask, who are we now? What do we choose to become? And from that rupture emerges post-traumatic growth, the most powerful human capacity, the ability to rise from devastation with deeper strength, deeper identity, and deeper purpose. I know this from my work and from my roots. As a third-generation survivor, my grandfather fled alone at age 20 from Greece. His entire family was murdered, and he rebuilt life from ashes and raised us to choose light even after the darkest nights. This is our secret weapon, our iron dome of the spirit of the Jewish people. The resilience passed across generation, not only the trauma, but the capacity to overcome it. And facing this resilience stands something darker than hatred. Antisemitism is not a political disagreement. It is a collapse of humanity, the ability to justify cruelty simply because the victim is a Jew. So I ask each one of you here and all over the world to imagine personally, as mothers, fathers, children, and human beings, if someone broke into your home, murdered your family, tortured them, sexually assaulted them, and the world say you deserve it because of who we are, what would you feel? What would you do? What would you choose? That is antisemitism. It is not about politics, it's about destruction of the human moral compass. And yet, despite everything, the Jewish people choose life over and over again. We choose light. We choose to raise our children on hope, compassion, and dignity. We build from impossible places. We reach out our hand for peace again and again, not because we are naive, but because our values command it. And when you want to see the soul of the Jewish people, I invite you to look at ZAKA. For the last 2 years, I founded and led the Resilience Division, standing shoulder to shoulder with volunteers who walk into devastation with holiness. Every 2 weeks, we are going to a 2-day retreat in the desert to help to process their trauma. They collect every fragment of human body so a family can mourn with dignity. They do not turn away from darkness, they bring humanity into it. And their devotion, their courage, their self-sacrifice, this is the Jewish spirit made visible. They are living proof of the highest Jewish value, the sanctity of life, the sacred of life. As the work chapter closes, we are now entering a new chapter, the chapter of rebuilding and healing. Healing is not passive. Healing is responsibility, our mutual responsibility, that no one stays alone. It is the act of choosing the narrative of this moment for ourselves, for our children, and for the next generation to come. This is our mission now in ZAKA. All of us in this room are partners to strengthen, to build, to create this future, because words create our world. And the narrative we choose now will shape the destiny of our people. And so, as I stand here, as a mother, as a granddaughter of survivor, and as the head of the ZAKA's Resilience Division, I say this with absolutely clarity. We will prevail because we choose life, because we choose unity, because we will choose light again and again. And like the Jewish people have always shown through every chapter of our history, like a phoenix we rise because this is who we are, because we are one soul, because every one of us in every one of us there is a spark of God that can never be extinguished. And so I end with eternal truth that carried us through, exhaled through the Holocaust, through wars, the truth we carry into the future we will build together. And on behalf of ZAKA, I want to share with you that this is a very meaningful moment for us in Israel. We are stepping to the next chapter of healing, and this is not a simple phase. This is the phase where we need everyone's support all over the world and in Israel. And I am grateful for this moment to be with you and to share with you our process of the resilience. And I want to introduce Simcha and our CEO, Dubi, and Esther and Kobe and Yossi Landau and Shuki and all of our staff that are doing an amazing work in Israel. I think that I never met such a holy persons in my life that are doing really maybe the worst and hardest work and still keeping this work every day over and over again, no matter what's the price for that. And I want to thank you for doing this mission for all of us in Israel and all over the world. And I will bring Simcha.
If I may, if each of the representatives of ZAKA take 1 minute to introduce yourself, because we have a long program and we have to be out of the room on time. So I know there would be so many of you, but I thank you. And if you simply say your name and what you do for the organization, we'll be very grateful. Thank you.
My name is Simcha Brenneman, and I represent ZAKA around the world today. From October 7, I stood in front of the UN, spoke about women's rights. Boots on grounds around 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Shabbat, October 7, for 18 and a half weeks, going through house by house, collecting remains from place to place, making sure that everything comes to burial according to the Jewish law. The past 28 years, I had my own business as a carpenter. Not only as a carpenter, running the business, but I had to also take the measurements and plans, look at blueprints, and make plans for my customers. After working constantly for 18 and a half weeks, going house by house, seeing every bedroom, living room, kitchens, what these people went through, unbelievable situations, what women went through, what kids went through, what Holocaust survivors went through. From that day, I cannot look at blueprints. Because whenever I look at blueprints, I see a house in Kfar Aza, Be'eri, every place, all these situations are a flashback. After going through the program of unbelievable tense and care that we go through, we understood that we're never going to forget what we went through and what we're going through as a nation. But we can live beside the trauma. Never forget it. Through the program, one of the treatments is going through an ice bath. If you understand, sitting in an ice bath between 5 to 7 minutes, It's something that you don't believe that you're capable to do that. And during the training, when I came to that position, I said, I can't sit in an ice bath. I'm gonna freeze, I'm gonna get a heart attack for sure. And I decided that I have to try my best as a commander, showing my troop what I'm going through, and I'm trying to help myself heal. I went through the process, and as we went through the process, I sat into the ice. And as I'm sitting down, the trainee sitting in front of me, looking in my eyes, he says, now it's time that you're sitting already 2-3 minutes in the ice. Close your eyes. I close my eyes, and he turns to my ear and he whispers, you're alive. You went through the opportunity to sit in this ice bath by understanding that you're not having a heart attack. You're alive. Now, take one, not the whole situation of 18 and a half weeks dealing with unbelievable trauma. Take one seat. Have that picture in front of your eyes, the worst scene that you feel connected to. Now, you're alive. Understand that you never in your life will forget the situation, what you dealt with. These unbelievable, horrific situations of seeing children, seeing Holocaust survivors cut to pieces. These are things that you cannot believe what you're seeing in front of your eyes. Seeing women, what they went through, going into houses and not believing that the human could do something like that. Taking one of these stories, closing your eyes, understanding that through this treatment, you're able to understand that you're able to live beside it. You're never gonna forget it. It's not gonna go out of your dreams. You'll have those nightmares, but you'll be able to live beside it and continue living. Thank God for that day. I'm continuing to go through treatments. I am the live number of the Holocaust. I am those victims' voice. I have to continue speaking for them because this is our mission as ZAKA, making sure that everything comes to burial, but being there for them is being for their families. Being their voice is being for them. And we are the live testimony that has to continue speaking about it, but we have to continue living to be able to remember every minute that we are the ones to show the light and to continue showing the Jewish world and for sure the whole world, to be the spark to the world, to be able to continue. Thank you for having us here.
Thank you for that very. As we go around, could you just say your name and your affiliation with ZAKA, if you're a ZAKA member, sir, Rabbi, if you'd be willing. Rabbi.
Yossi Landau, commander of the South region of Israel, ZAKA. Sorry. I'm I would say a new old immigrant in Israel. I was born in New York, made Aliyah 36 years ago, having my married 10 children, 29 grandchildren, thank God, and 35 years in ZAKA. We were all over the world as a search and rescue unit, as a first aid, and helping wherever we can help, we're gonna be there. Therefore, in our organization, we have Christians, Muslims, Druze. We have everybody that is willing to respect is welcome in our organization. If anybody would tell me in any time, even though I went through a lot all over the world, as I said. I'm a survivor of the 9/11, the Twin Towers attack. I was 7 hours under the rubbles, and I survived. If anybody would tell me that in one time we'll have to face a situation like we had on October 7th, I would resign on the spot. And the opposite happened. It's not only me, I have 3 children of my children that joined the organization, because, as we say, the apple doesn't fall far. And on October 7th, 10 o'clock in the morning, I was in the South fighting, saving, and respecting. I would never thought that the price, what it cost me, I will have to pay for it. And that means for 19 weeks, I couldn't come home and look at my children and hug them. That's basically the mission of each and every volunteer, and that every person in the world is to raise and to feed the children, but I couldn't do it. Even though my first grandson, bar mitzvah, was a middle, I could attend only 5 minutes because I couldn't look at him. For me, it's punishment. But we have to do it for our nation and for the world. So that's what we did, and we respected. I wouldn't be able to keep it up even one more day if not this resilience that ZAKA and the head of our CEO, Luby, that came in to the picture after 2 of our volunteers just didn't get up in the morning one day, and in 10 days a difference, age of 43 and age of 45, they couldn't handle it. They lost a job. Was very tense in the house, and we had to go out and help those people. If it's a child that calls me up in the middle of the night that his father was in my team, and in 10 days he's celebrating his bar mitzvah, but his father is numb, his father is in bed, and he doesn't even know the date of the bar mitzvah of anything, and nothing was bought. We had to go out and take care of that child and of the entire family. We wouldn't be able to go ahead and fulfill our mission and continue our lives without this most important project that was taken, and very glad that we have Vered, that she is on top of each and every one. She can wake me up in the middle of the night, and like she's there for us like a mother, and that's very important. And I can say the money that they're spending for doing this, they took me for a treatment 18 times. I was in a special treatment just to take out of my mind one thing that I saw in October, that was on October 8th already, when I came into Kibbutz Be'eri, that made me that I couldn't sleep, I couldn't continue with my life. They took me, even though it cost a lot of money, and I can say I'll help, not for a lot, but because my sleep is tonight, even though we're going through, is 3 hours a night, a day. That's my sleep. And not only me, sometimes when I get up and I see other volunteers, the same thing with me, so we start to talk, we start to go down. But the help that we receive, it's phenomenal. I want to thank them, and I want to thank you all for the partnership, for thinking of us, and making happen the good for our nation and for the world. Thank you.
You would speak for 5 minutes, then we'll go to Ariel, okay, and Mazi, and then finally Andy. And I do want to leave at least 20 minutes for Q&A for those online and here. And I will just say, we're glad that you're making the progress that you're making, and all of you are doing literally God's work. I will just interject with 2 notes. One, my parents were Holocaust survivors, and my mom went through Auschwitz and all sorts of stuff. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that is what you always have to focus on. And I will say that they had the Nova exhibit down on Wall Street that Gloria and Ellen and I attended, and they had a certain area with the sexual assaults that was very graphic. You can't unsee what you've seen. And to know that there are such depraved people, it makes you question what is humanity. But then we look at the other side, and we look at all the people sitting here who are the exemplars of what it means to be a real human being. So on behalf of our committee, End Antisemitism and Promote Peace, we thank you, because that's what you're doing. So thank you, Judy.
Thank you, thank you. It's better for you. I speak in only 2 minutes because my English is not so good. I speak in Hebrew. 2 minutes, and Simcha is the translator. Okay? So, אני לא מאמין שאחרי מה שמתנדבי זק"א ראו ונגעו בידיים, האו"ם מסוגל להוציא החלטות אנטישמיות כאלה.
Not believe that after what we dealt with our own hands and eyes, that the UN could write that nothing really happened.
ראיתם קצת באגף החוסן מה קורה למתנדב זק"א בפנים. כמה דם עבר לו בידיים. אי אפשר להוציא את זה החוצה. זה בפנים.
See the program that we're going through, how much the volunteers have in their head, what they saw, what they dealt with in their brain, something that you can't just take out.
ומהצד שלי אני אומר, ועוד יש אנטישמיות? זה לא היה? לא מאמין.
Can't believe that after what I see, what my volunteers are going through, there's still people that can say it never happened.
אתם יודעים, האחריות של זק"א על הכתפיים שלי, על המתנדבים, על הפעילות, על החוסן, על הרוח.
All ZAKA's work, the scenes, the volunteers, the jobs, everything is on his shoulders, on his responsibility.
אבל היום הבנתי שיש לי עוד משימה מאוד חשובה.
Today he understood that he has a very important job to continue doing.
ובבקשה תשתמשו בנו.
Please use us.
אני הולך לצעוק בכל העולם, לצייר ולהראות להם מה יש לנו בראש, ולנסות להסביר להם כמה דם אספנו בארץ ישראל, לא רק ב7 לאוקטובר. זה קורה כל הזמן. אנטישמיות? זה לא היה. אני מתבייש. זה לא יכול להיות. ואנחנו נצעק את הצעקה הגדולה שלנו, בתקווה שנצליח לעזור משהו.
It would be the fact that he would love to draw what the volunteers have in front of their eyes, what they see every moment, what they dealt with, what their feelings are, to express it to the world, to understand what our volunteers are going through, to scream out. There's no such thing that nothing happened. This is something that we cannot prove by showing it, but we are the ones that dealt with it. And this is what he's saying. We can't stop speaking about it.
אם אתם מכירים מישהו אנטישמי שרוצה לדעת את התשובות, תביאו לו מתנדב זק"א. וככה אולי נצליח לתקן את העולם. תודה רבה, thank you.
Thank you. Although I didn't understand Hebrew, you did a great job, and you're so expressive with your hands and your emotion that I think I know what you said. But now I want to turn it over, the floor over for a few minutes to a very dear friend, Mazi Phillip. Mazi Phillip represents the 10th district in Nassau County, the Great Neck, Manhasset area. I live in Long Island, and she represents part of Long Island, and she has a fascinating story that she will share with us. She is of Ethiopian heritage, birth, I should say, and came over in Operation Solomon a long time ago, and then from Israel came here. This beautiful woman, this brilliant woman with a very interesting background, is the mother of 7 children, and she's outstanding in everything she does. So it's my personal distinct pleasure to introduce Mazi Phillip to you.
Thank you. Susan, thank you for your committee and ZAKA team, to all of you and Barrett. You know, one of the first things I remember after October 7, to see the press conference of the ZAKA. And I remember it until today, how much I cried seeing you, seeing the entire team, standing in front of the cameras and telling you what you saw, what you experienced. And you know, you cry, we cry in life, yeah? But that cry, I felt the pain through my stomach. And I was thinking about each one of you, how you will be able to deal with this, how you will be able to overcome what you saw. And just like Ruby, I thought the world will understand us after October 7. I remember that day when I got this news. It was Simchat Torah, Shabbat. I wasn't able to call my family. And just to realize what took place and the cry. And the next day, JCC had a big event. We were the first event. I went to speak there. And I was emotional. I was crying. To see my Jewish states, my brothers and sisters, under a serious attack. And I was crying. I said, you know what? Maybe this is the opportunity. The world finally will see the evil. They will see the evil versus the good. And I was so sure, like if we have to go through this as a nation, you know what? Finally, the world will understand us. Just like Ruby, I couldn't understand it. October 8th, anti-Semitism out of control, people marching around the world, included in our state in New York City, and terrorizing our people again. And then you wonder, what's going on here? What's wrong with our society? Just like each one of you, I promised on October 7, if I wasn't enough active before that, now I am full in engaging in this conversation, bringing my own story. And I decided to be the voice because there's so much to do here. I mean, how much more we can handle, how much more we can ignore when evil taking place, how much more we can just assume nothing gonna happen. I mean, the worst of the worst took on October 7. If it's not clear to the world, we have to make sure to make it clear. No more silence. We are not gonna be silent. We will fight like every other society for justice. And Suzanne and the entire committee, thank you, entire committee, what are you doing? And for the ZAKA's team, and to you, Vered, really, God bless you. You have been chosen to do God's job. I mean, this is a mission, lifetime mission. And there is so much more you have to deal with. One thing I will promise you, we are with you. We are with you. We will speak about what took place. And we will go through the process of healing. And Vera, thank you for your team. What are you doing? And God bless you. This is all about unity. It's all about standing strong and tall and proud Jewish community. And then standing tall for what's right and wrong. This is our call. Because we don't want to be one of those people who will say, oh, Holocaust took place. When we saw the births taking place, everybody was silent. We don't want to be there. History calling us to come together, Jewish and non-Jewish. It's one, society, and to fight for each other, to help each other. So thank you for everyone for being here, and we will come together as a united team and to do what's right. Thank you, Susanna.
Thank you. Go on to our next speaker. You used the word mission, and I probably should have said this when we first began, but the mission of the committee End Anti-Semitism and Promote Peace is to combat anti-Semitism, bigotry, hate, and genocide, and promote peace. Our goal is to ensure fair treatment and participation of Israel and all organizations which address anti-Semitism, bigotry, hate, and genocide by the UN, its member states, and all UN bodies in its programs and activities. We have a huge mission, especially here in the United States. So when I learned that you are affiliated with the standing of the United Nations, I will tell you what my personal goal and our committee's goal is. You may or may not be aware of this. There are 2 resolutions that were acclaimed by voice vote at the General Assembly. One to condemn Islamophobia and the other to measure Islamophobia. There are 0 resolutions to combat anti-Semitism. It is my prayer, my effort, frankly, at this point in my life, my life's work, to at least get the UN to say anti-Semitism is wrong. You talk about values and the disappearance of, I don't know what happened, ignorance. There's so much to be done, and I'm so delighted that we have new partners and new members to join us in that effort. So I thank all of you. And now I'm going to turn it to Ariella.
Hello, thank you for having me. Sit, stand, what's good here? So firstly, my name is Ariella Novak. I'm a journalist. I work to help to ensure accuracy within broadcast and print media. But my stories are only the stories I can tell because of the work of organizations like the work that you're doing with ZAKA and the work that you're doing to help everybody. So I say thank you to you first before I even speak. You bring up the Nova exhibit. I was one of the people behind the scenes doing the media for the Nova exhibit. And something that happened right away was the first day when it opened, and one of the teams from one of the networks was coming. And it was one of the good guys, as people would call it. So have that in mind. They walk in, they're about to do the live. I said, no, hold up. You haven't even walked around to see it for yourself. How could you give an accurate reporting if you don't know the facts yet? He's like, well, I'm about to go live. I said, well, no, you're not. Can you wait? And he goes, I guess so. I said, great. So I took him around for 10 minutes, which is not long, but was longer than it was before. And I showed him what every bullet hole meant, what every car meant, what these items from Hamas are. And each, you saw him, his whole demeanor soften, his brain open, his eyes wide open, and that was the goal. He then went on TV, he did this, and he turned around, anything else I can do, Ariella? I said, yes, let's do a digital story. He goes, great, a 10-minute digital story. And we did, and it went on the Fox News platform. So why do I share this with you? Media is not all that bad. They've done a lot of different kinds of great coverage. And then there's also coverage that's not what you're looking for. But why is it like that? And I gave recently a form of a TED talk on behalf of AISH. And it was the question I got to ask. They said, Ariella, you're going to discuss your most pressing question. And I said, okay, I wonder what that could be. And after I read the flyer a few times, I go, aha. And I called Andy over here. I said, I got my pressing question. He goes, what is it? Am I going to like it? I said, probably not. And I said, basically, people constantly ask me, Ariella, why is media failing us? But the real question we should be asking rather is, why are we failing the media? And what do I mean by that? What does failure mean? Failure means you've tried to do something over and over in different ways and still have come out with the same result, which is not what you're looking for. But I'm here to tell you we haven't failed the media because we have barely done anything as a community. There's so many different kinds of organizations, none replicated like what ZAKA's doing, but there's so many different kinds of organizations that work to do X, Y, Z. There's none really working specifically to help fix journalism, to help get the answers. And I know it's a crazy thought, right? Like they want to get it wrong. I worked at many of these newsrooms. Nobody actually wants to be wrong. And now I will also add, yes, there is bias in media, okay? But it is much smaller than the amount that you could possibly imagine. And as we know, what travels fast? Good news or bad news? Bad news. So you almost always see access to the bad stories first, rather than congratulating somebody on whatever it might be. So my goal here is, what do? I work to ensure they have accurate facts and they have access to the facts by taking journalists to Israel, allowing them the chance to see it with their own eyes, go up north, go down south, meet the people, eat the food because it's really good, and just experience the love that we have in our house, on our hearts, so they'll bring it back to their newsrooms also. And it's so important because it allows for journalists to meet firsthand with people like ZAKA, to see what it means. It's not just on a screen, it's real. And what I mean by that, yesterday I was at a dinner and I brought a bunch of journalists. They actually were fighting over tickets, who's gonna come with me, which was kind of shocking. And they came. And I did an interview with one of the people that came with us on our first delegation to Israel over October 7th last year. And I said, Brian, tell me, what was the most amazing thing you learned in Israel and what changed you? He said, Ariella, everything. The entire trip changed my reporting, and not because I was doing something wrong before, but because I didn't know there was missing information. And that's what it comes down to. And I understand not everybody's gonna make it to Israel, I get it. But if we work diligently to select not the influencers, but the people of influence who are writing this script, who know what they're talking about, but don't know there's more information. And I can't tell you why some people don't know where this place and this place is on a map, okay? I'm not giving excuses for them. But if they don't know, now what? That's in our hands. So if we're wanting to work together to bring journalists to see the work of what ZAKA is doing, and it's not something you just see one day. It's something you see, like everyone has said here, over and over and over again. I'll never forget walking down, just to end it like this. I went to the kibbutzim. I've been there many times now. And each time I'm there, I notice something different. And I write down what I've noticed. And I made a friend, unintentionally, named Maya Bentwich. And while we were walking around, I looked at Maya and I said, Maya, tell me about this. Tell me about this. And she told me all the different kinds of holes that were made in the buildings, what they were intended to do, what this person was really intending. And the whole clarity here is all about, they had no clarity. They came for us. They will do it again. We have to make sure the world doesn't forget what happened that day. So I thank you for the work at ZAKA, and I'm here to help.
Echo what you said, because it would appear that Israel won the war, the physical battle, but we lost the PR war. And
you know, I'll actually say, people say the war's over. People
it's not
say
over, but it's basically.
I don't think the war will ever end. In the sense, the war won't ever end, because there's always going to be a war of words, and we have to be prepared for that.
Okay, but having said that, we're not in the midst of the fighting that we were once in the midst of. It's much quieter now. But when it comes to the PR war, the public relations part, frankly, is brilliant, and I have great respect for the knowledge and the skill and the wisdom of the Israeli people. But maybe they were too busy fighting the physical war that they didn't pay enough attention to the PR war, because I can tell you in the United States, it's not going so well for us. So I think that's something that we should be very aware of.
I think that's because there's no dedicated resources to helping the world see what it really is.
Okay, so that's something that has to happen. I will say, this past Sunday at my temple, I invited a lone soldier from the US, his name is Ira Kohler, who went to Israel and ended up fighting and being in kibbutz Neri and then spending 100 days in Gaza. And it's all kosher, but he had a pro cam, and so we literally watched him do what he was doing. And it was just amazing. I hope he said he's working on a book. I hope it comes out and so on. But education is part of that process. And that's something that even if we're not fighters, we can add, we can educate people around us. So as part of that, I want to introduce Andy, who is a prime mover in so many of our efforts in terms of education.
I'm going to tell 3 quick stories and then we'll show a movie. Resilience. There's a gentleman here who spent 11 hours with his brother hiding in the woods. He's from the Druze community. He survived Nova. He came here. Pray for us. Ariella didn't get to explain what she actually did right after October 7th. She was contacted by one hostage family got put in touch with her. She was the voice for them immediately after to help find, locate, and advertise that there were hostages. No one even knew what was going on there. And then word got out that she did it, so you ended up representing a whole bunch of them, right away, which was pretty, special and heroic. The last story is about this one. She was responsible on October 8th for bringing families to ID body parts. Saying this, how do you teach parents to say goodbye to children, children to parents, and witness all of it firsthand? And she told the story of one of the families. How will we know it's your sister? How do you know? Nail polish. Pulled up the curtain, saw the nail polish, and that's how they identified the girl. And you wear the nail polish now. So those were the 3 quick stories. All right. I'm going to show a video that wasn't on the schedule. When my friend's child, Omer Nutra, was taken, it snapped me into action 24/7. His son was recently laid to rest on November 7th, and that ended my 2 years of living day to day, 24/7, helping the family, a lot of the hostage families. I felt compelled to make a movie, short film, to honor those who didn't make it. We were watching all over the place videos of celebrations, reunions. We had to show this side of it, that while they were happy for them, they suffer, and they even suffered more because of seeing them. So we're going to show now a movie to celebrate. That's what I did. Resilience and Hope, Hatikva. I want to thank Gazal for helping us with this. She gave her time, her immense talent, and she's a proud Jew. So I won't say enjoy the movie, but experience. It's called Kaddish.
But we have another special guest, and I didn't realize you were here, Mr. Raif Roche. And he represents the Christian Druze community. And he will tell you his story, and it is a very moving story as well. So, Mr. Roche, please.
Hi. My name is Raif. I'm in Druze Israeli. I've been here in US already 7 years. Already 7 years, living here 7 years. And around, 15 years ago, I started a business called Tabunya. And, I moved here 7 years ago as an engineer. And, I've been in vacation time in that day, holiday vacation. I was able to be with my brother there to help him with the food, to make the food in the Nova Music Festival. And actually, we served food there, and it was amazing night that day. But in the morning, when the racket start, just actually, it was crazy. It was crazy. We've been there for 10 hours, we lived in the Middle Ages, barbaric. My friend, I saw my friend in front of my eyes, they lynching, terrorists in front of my eye, lynching people from the you can't imagine even. Around, I've been there with my brother, and around 13 hours, after the army came around 3 o'clock, we just got out from there, and I don't know how to explain my feeling from there. We lived actually the
Raif, may I read a little bit of your bio to share with the audience of people online? I'm not sure everybody can hear you as you're speaking. May I say a few words about your background? Thank you. So from my view of what I've read, Raif Rosh, Raif is an accidental hero because he went back to Israel to be with his family. And while he was there, he went with his brother to the Nova Festival as a chef. By background and training, he's an engineer. And he got caught up in this entire nightmare, in this entire horror. And he was there at the massacre. He ended up building a restaurant here in the United States called Tabunya. And it's a kosher Druze restaurant, which is unusual to start with, I think. And he was even at the White House 2 weeks ago, maybe by now it's a little bit longer. But he is one of those people, we talk about bridges, people who make connections. We are all looking at one of those bridges because he helped the Israelis. He is a bridge here in the United States, Tabunya, okay? And during this attack, Raif hid behind the car of his friend, Eric Peretz, and who was there with his 16-year-old daughter who has cerebral palsy. He watches they try to flee towards an ambulance, and only for Hamas terrorists to set the ambulance on fire. And Eric and Ruth's charred bodies were found 12 days later. Raif was stranded in Israel for several months without a passport, and it was stolen during the chaos. Traumatized, he eventually returned to the United States, profoundly changed. He left his engineering career behind and turned to cooking as a means of healing. And the restaurant, evokes his childhood memories. And he was in New York. He met someone named Ray Radwan, a fellow Druze born in New Jersey to a Lebanese family who was an experienced restaurateur, and together they decided to create a full-fledged restaurant. And at this restaurant, you want to talk about food brings people together. They speak Arabic, Hebrew, English, and no one is judged. He got a kosher certification. They were able to continue serving their Jewish clientele while remaining open on Shabbat because it's not owned by Jews. So therefore, they're able to do that. And as it's the city's only Druze restaurant, it was called Gazella, but it was vandalized in 2024, but it received overwhelming support from the Jewish community. And today, Tabunya, I believe, is back in operation. Yes. Okay, so you can give us an address. So for those of us who choose to visit, we will experience some wonderful food that we don't normally have access to. And it stands as a place of memory, dialogue, rebuilding, a space where the wounds of the past can give way to a fragile hope of solidarity and coexistence. So we honor you for overcoming trauma and bringing people together. So before we give you a round of applause, you have to tell us what city is your restaurant in?
The restaurant?
Yeah, Tabunya, is it in New York or New Jersey?
Tabunya is actually in New Jersey. It was a restaurant. We closed the restaurant, but we serve it in the Grand Bazaar every Sunday, and from 10 to 5 every Sunday all over the year.
Forgive me because I don't really. What city? Where is
Upper West Side.
Upper West Side. On the Upper West Side. Okay,
77.
Sunday mornings. Sunday mornings on the Upper West Side. I know
Yes.
some of you inhabit that area. What street?
It's 77 in
Yes.
Columbus.
77th Street, Columbus. So, you know, we have a destination to go to, something to look forward to. So, thank you. And if you want to add to that, I think that is the end of our formal presentations. And I would like to go to questions and answers because I'm looking at the clock and I know we have people online. I'm going to ask Ina Rosenzweig, a member of our board, a brilliant medical doctor, a businesswoman, just a brilliant guru. And if you would want to be kind enough to handle the Q&A from the online group, I would be very grateful.
Okay, okay, thank you. We don't have questions yet. People were just responding that it was a great inspiration to hear the speakers, and I almost cried. Actually, I am crying hearing what people can do despite whatever happened. And it was a person in the chat. He's coming to our meetings. Pankaj Mehta says that, you know, yes, we're losing the PR war, but we should connect with other communities and other NGOs and other, you know, in other circles that fight anti-Semitism and also hate in any, you know, in any form and shape and form. And so there was an invitation to visit their website, 1 Minute Silent Prayer, where they all actually appeal to every community, not only Jewish, but any community who experiences hatred and experiences injustice. And so I will send, when the recording will be sent, we will send anything that was in the chat that was, you know, to share. I will be sending it to everybody who attended. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have questions here? Go ahead, Dinek.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for inviting me here. The wonderful heroes. Thank you for coming. Thank you for hearing the beautiful, lovely voice of Kachel. Sorry if I mispronounced. So, we are in a dangerous times, not just for the Jewish people, also for supporters. So I suggest we should unite forces with the Hindu community and the Christian community. So all of these bills and proposals should pass at the United Nations, as you said. So we need to unite forces. And thank you, President Trump, for speaking about this issue, and Nicki Minaj for addressing the issue what's happening in Nigeria. So they're being killed every day since 2009. Other countries, Congo, Sudan, and you know. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. There, we're aware that of what's going on in Nigeria. There are many persecuted groups. I have to tell you, one of the things that shocks me is that there isn't more of an outcry about what is going on in the killing in the Christian churches in Nigeria. There are lots and lots of Christians in the world, and it's been relatively quiet, which makes me worry. And I know there are rabbis in this group, but I really believe that we have not educated the next generation, this generation, to be morally sharp, astute, aware that this, you know, whatever your religion is, the golden rule applies. You know, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Nobody's learning that, it seems to me, and I don't know why, but it's maybe that universal is something that we all need to go back to. So thank you for reminding. We certainly look forward to working with other NGOs and NGO committees that are against violence, that we want to promote peace and respect for everyone. Go ahead, Marcy.
Just to add to that subject about Africa. Today, I met a very interesting Jamaican-American woman here, and we were talking, you know, about the Middle East, what's happening in Israel and Gaza, and then we were talking about Africa. Nobody cared about Africa. I mean, Nigeria and those places, people being killed left and right, but no media, no UN. UN doesn't condone anybody there in Africa. And as a Black woman, you wonder, like, you know, you are focusing 100% about Israel. You are not willing to condemn the Hamas, but completely ignoring what's happening in Africa. And that's something that we need to speak up. You know, UN is supposed to be an NGO that should look up of everyone and stand for what's right. And I did my internship at UN, you know, as a young professional. After I finished my master's degree in Tel Aviv University, I wanted to be part of this amazing organization with the hope of like, you know, we can make a change. And I wonder when the UN really will wake up and do something that's, you know, to fix this world, not just focusing on Israel and condoming a resolution left and right, over 100 plus, just against Israel. It's not one resolution against the, Hamas and others who, you know, terrorizing other people in Africa. Time to speak up, time to demand this.
I couldn't agree with you more. I once gave a paper documenting all the sins of the UN. And for what it's worth, at the Human Rights Committee, Israel-Palestine issue is the only permanent item on the agenda, regardless of any agenda. It's the only every meeting has that issue on. And it's like nothing else matters, nothing else counts. It's a violation of their own internal rules. It's a violation of the Human Rights Declaration, the Eleanor Roosevelt document when they first were founded. I think we just have to make more noise. And so we're gonna contribute to making noise. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm with ADWAN, which is Association of Lead Women's Advancement in Nepal, which is, we also are dealing with anti-Semitism in the marginalized community, but I'm also a JCRC. What you are talking about is a little bit far more complicated, being with the UN for 2 decades. What we're talking about at this time is the more developed countries versus the LDC, the less developed countries. And now you have the reorganization, a realliance of the countries, the geopolitics that continue to play a major part. You have Russia and China pounding away in Africa. They have taken over the mining and other, in Ethiopia, they have financial business interests. The United States under Obama, whether you like them or not, push the Russians back, push the Chinese back. We don't have that anymore. Trump may be going after the Chinese, but Russia has moved from Russia into the Middle East and into Africa. The African Union is playing with China, is playing with Russia. And when Trump said, I don't really care, we wound up in trouble. We wound up not only in the backseat and then the trunk, we wound up outside it. We have to work on those financial pieces to push back. Many of us in different organizations, that's CSOs or even other NGOs, are pushing back. We work with the African Union on these particular issues. But when you have money, you lose. And right now, Africa is losing big time because of the migration, because of the climate change. And still, China and Russia will admit to all of the climate change, but they don't care when it comes to the mining and other financial monopolies, I will call it. In Zimbabwe, the mining is China. And we found out, because the group I was with, I was in the working group of mining, just how sneaky China is. And it took somebody, a foot person, to report back to us. In Brazil, 7 priests were brutally executed. 1 escaped, and that's how we found out what happened there. So, and that connection, once again, is with China and Russia. So that's what we have to deal with Africa. And it is a tall order, and only Trump can push back very hard against this. He is with China, but not with Russia. And it's even more complicated than that.
Gloria, and then we have 2 questions from online, and then we'll go back here.
I just want to make a comment. It's really not a question, but I think everybody here knows that anti-Zionism is anti-Jewish. And you can't, I think that the whole world knows outside of the Jewish community that part of our psyche, part of who we are is Zionism and Israel. And when you go against Israel, it's very clear to me that it's anti-Semitic, and anti-Semitic, you go against Israel, you're anti-Semitic, you go against the Jews. It's one and the same. You cannot separate one without the other. Amen.
Can we go to online? We have 2 questions online.
Okay, we have Herb Grubman. Can you please unmute yourself, Herb?
Yes, thank you. I am just thankful to hear all your wonderful ideas and be part of this. But one of the things that disturbs me most is the constant hatred that's being spewed on social media today and how it's poisoning the youth of our country. given the challenges of the First Amendment, what can we do as a society to get the hatred off of social media, and how do we counterbalance that with a message of love and optimism?
Thank you. Thank you.
I
Anybody
can
want to
answer
take
that.
it on?
I'll answer that question. We don't need to engage in the present social media entities, Instagram or Facebook or any of them. We've actually creating our own. A digital Iron Dome, you have a meeting today, it's gonna be a reality. We control the narrative, we control who participates. We unite all the Jews in the world everywhere, giving them safety buttons, giving them access to legal representation, giving them education, giving them counseling, all in an app that we're presenting. We'll have our own. We could block out all the Islamic propaganda noise, which overtakes every social media platform now. We'll have our own. We control who's there, and we control what's said. As Ariel had to go, but we're going to incorporate AI news, real news. You want to see what's going on? This is it, objective news. There's a vacuum of news. It's all propaganda now. It's all controlled, and it's much more than I believe she says. It's everywhere all the time. United Nations is the United Nations against Israel. That's all it is. There's no credibility. Make more noise, I say make less noise. Ignore it. Create our own thing, create our own truth, speak our own truth, and don't answer the nonsense that goes on over there. 24 resolutions, 17 against Israel. It's a speck of New Jersey. Why? 1 minute silent prayer. Ghazal was there. Who else was there? I was there. We brought Christians, Hindus, Muslims, and Jews up to Westchester, and we held a unity event. We actually had a Muslim man born in Kashmir, where the massacre of Hindus happened by Muslims, and he spoke on behalf of the Hindus. Now he's not here anymore because of the 24/7 death threats for the one Muslim who speaks out against Islamophobia and that farce altogether, Dan Khan. He's not here. But Pankaj, the one who said was with us, Ghazal was there, I was there. We had Christian speakers, Jewish speakers, Hindu speakers, Muslim speakers. We need more unity events, but we need to unite in truth, not living these propaganda lies. Jacob goes deaf. Don't pay him any mind. You don't answer with more noise, you answer with nothing. You ignore it. Let them make their noise, let them say their crazy stuff over there. They've lost their purpose. They're irrelevant now. And I'm not gonna fight them. We're gonna create our own. So that's what I want to say.
Thank you.
Can I respond?
Okay, no. We have next person. Judd?
Yes. I may be out of the loop here, but for a long time I've read that Israel has been showing immediate atrocity documentaries of what happened during October 7th to very select groups of diplomats.
You muted yourself, Judd. You muted yourself by accident. Unmute. Unmute.
I am unmuted now.
Okay. All right.
I have been hearing for a long time, and you all have, and I may be out of the loop, about Israeli films that document October 7th in great detail that are only shown selectively to certain small groups of diplomats or wherever, and that these people come out of it shattered with the effect. I have never seen these. I don't know where they can be seen, but one of the reasons why we may be losing the PR war on this issue is that I don't think people really can imagine the extent of what happened. And I think it's eclipsed by the immediate claim that Israel, in its first responses, was already committing a genocide, when it obviously was not. And I don't understand why, if people are, some of the argument has been that it's respect for the families and the victims, and we don't want to show this kind of thing. That makes absolutely no sense. We are in conditions of exigency, and we have to show these things. So either they're not powerful after all, or they need to be seen. And then my question is, are they there? Why haven't they been shown?
Can I just tell you that I did not see it, but right after October 7th, I had the opportunity to speak to Jonathan Miller, I think it was, from the Israeli polloi. And he said it was so brutal, they said that they didn't want to share it widely, and also out of respect for the families whose children were brutally murdered. As I said, I went into that roped off area from the Nova exhibit where you could walk right by, and it was scenes of sexual violence, of such grotesque violence that I didn't know that people could imagine that kind of behavior. So, you know, you don't know what the fragility is of the people who are watching this and what that would do to them. And I think that has to be also of a concern. But I hear you. We need to do something to get the message out.
And may I just want to
Go
add,
ahead.
I don't agree. I feel that we have seen most atrocities during the Holocaust. Those films are widely shown, and we are seeing all kinds of images that the Palestinians release about what's been happening in Gaza. It doesn't matter how brutal these are; they have to be seen.
Judd, I tentatively agree with you because I feel we have to break through, but I just saw that little clip and I have seen all the Holocaust stuff. I've never seen the Holocaust stuff where they shoot them, they gas them, they pile the bodies up and
Yes.
so on. But this is, if you can imagine, even more grotesque than that.
I can, and
On a
that's why.
one-on-one hideous, but I do want to just before I know you have your hand up and you, we have a hand right here. Can I just tell everyone, 1 second, that we do have a website and a lot of this information and this video will be on our website. So I would just encourage you to take this down, www.ngo-EASAPP, EASAPP.org. And that's for End Antisemitism and Promote Peace is what EASAPP is. So, you know, if we don't get to everything, I just want you to know that we do have a website. It's an excellent website, and I encourage you to go there. So let's see, we have 1 and then 2.
And
I want to tell you, 10 seconds, please, okay? In Hebrew, she translates. אני מבין היום שמה שקורה באו"ם ב50 שנה האחרונות מייצר למתנדבי זק"א עבודה בשטח. אני מבין היום שמה שקרה באו"ם באנטישמיות מייצר דה פקט למתנדבי זק"א עבודה בשטח?
He believed that the last 50 years what the UN ignored is really creating a serious issue for ZAKA. And whatever they're doing is because of the ignorance and totally ignoring the fact of everything they were doing, ignoring it by not condoning terrorists, and that is what's creating the job of those people.
ואם זה נכון,
If that's real,
אתם לא מוסד הצדק, אתם מוסד השקר.
yeah, so the UN, don't do the job of the truth. You are basically ignoring.
Go home! מפה אני אומר להם, לכו הביתה.
Go home because you are a failure.
שאני לא רוצה לעבוד.
Because he doesn't want to do this job anymore.
Thank you.
It's great, it's powerful, so I don't remember who we.
Jamie.
No, let's do 1 and then 2 and 3. Who? Do you want to?
I think she had her hand up first, so go ahead. Go ahead.
My name is Cassandra, and I have been a friend of the Jews and a lover of Israel since I got serious with my walk with God. And I have leveraged my influence to the best of my ability, congressionally and in other areas, to try to shift the really dangerous direction of the narrative that's going against the Jews and against the nation of Israel. And I know that the way our government system is formed, there is stuff we can do congressionally and even on state levels, but is there anything that a citizen can do to penetrate the UN to change the direction, the narrative?
I would just say that's a great question. What we are trying to do and working on is to educate within the UN.
Right.
And hopefully we can get countries to sign on to a resolution. So at least it will be publicly acknowledged. That's our current effort. But I would just say, if you're not a member of our group, please let me give you a membership form. I think beyond that, one of the activities that we should take on ourselves and as a committee to coordinate is what can we do to try to answer that very, very important question. So I thank you for your help and for putting an idea in our heads. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Schechner. I'm Regional Director at Birthright Israel Foundation. Andy invited me to join today, and after hearing about the incredible work of ZAKA and hearing from Mazi, it feels a little bit besheret that I'm sitting here. I'm sure many of you know Birthright. It's a household name. It's an incredible organization that has done life-changing work for the Jewish community for the last 25 years. However, a lot of what goes on Birthright, I believe people don't really know, which is the work that Birthright does to combat anti-Semitism by bringing young Jewish adults to Israel and letting them step foot on the soil to see it themselves. It's the first space, really, that a lot of young Jewish adults have the opportunity to ask questions that they don't feel they ever had a place to. Post-October 7th, could you imagine what it's like to get off a college campus as a hotbed of anti-Semitism and step foot in Israel? But what I really, while I was sitting here and listening, and thank you, like the incredible work you're doing at ZAKA, and I'm sorry, your name, right. A lot of what you guys shared also like was brought back to Birthright for me because there's, each trip has a lot of the standard components of Birthright, but each trip also will take you to different sites. And one component of every Birthright trip is visiting a diverse community in Israel outside of Jewish people. So all trips visit with the Druze community. I was, completely taken aback by the beautiful dedication and love that this community gives to Israel. And many trips also visit the Ethiopian Absorption Center. And so hearing from you today and your story like really resonated with me. And then a component after October 7th. So October 7th happened and for the first time in 25 years, Birthright trips stopped visiting Israel. And a number of Birthright Israel alum on October 8th were calling Birthright saying, what can we do? There's over 900,000 Birthright alum over the last 25 years. That's a generation of Jewish people. And what came out of what was launched a month later, and it has now brought thousands of diaspora Jews to Israel, is a 8-day volunteer project. So whether you've been on Birthright as a young adult for our classic trip or not, you can go and volunteer in Israel for 8 to 14 days. I think there's well over 10,000 that have gone during this in the last 2 years. And I think what that shows is, the Jewish people's desire to, people wanted to get on a plane to Israel as soon as possible, stand in solidarity with Israelis. And so I'm just so proud to be here representing Birthright Israel, but also to hear from all of you, be partners with all of you. And, I think each of our organizations benefit each other, and we're all better as Jewish people because of what each of us are doing. So thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to meet all of you.
Echo what you said, because my youngest son went on Birthright, went back as a leader on Birthright. It changed his view. His older brother did not go, was sent by his work. He worked for a sporting organization, was sent for the Maccabiah games. He came back and he said, oh my God, why didn't you tell me? It was fabulous. So if you haven't been, your children or grandchildren haven't been, get them there. I saw your hand a minute ago. Ron,
my
please.
name's Ron Chilak. What I'd like to say is, I think first we have to energize the Jewish community before we even try and go outside. We are not energized. We do not participate. We had Run for Their Lives where we walked for the hostages every Sunday in Plainview, which is where the Nutris were from. We saw Omer up on the screen. In a community filled with Jewish families. We had 80 to 100 people, not 1,000 people. Out of the rabbis in the community, I would show up. One or two others would show up. The rest never came. They never brought their congregations. What we don't realize is when the Nazis came, when the anti-Semites come, they do not ask, do you have a menorah on your door? Did you light a mezuzah on the door? Did you light a menorah? Do you have a challah? Do you lift bench? Do you light candles on Friday? No one asks that. They want to know if you're a Jew. And if we were energized as one unified people, we would have a chance. We are so diverse, we are so non-participatory. People point and say, oh, it's those Jews. If any of you remember Crown Heights in 1991, the average liberal New York Jew did not think this was happening to them. It was happening to those Hasidim. They didn't realize that if you wore a black hat and a black coat, you are those Jews. You just dressed differently. You weren't black, you weren't Asian, so you were not identifiable. But you were as disliked and hated as they were. And once we can teach the Jewish community that, we have a chance. Until then, bang your head on this wall.
I agree.
Ron, that I've been studying a lot about antisemitism in the last 2 years, and I made a research and I found a profound professional understanding that there are 3 areas of working and processing that the government and the organization are doing to combat antisemitism, and there is 3 areas. One is advocacy, the second is legalization, and the third one is monitoring the web. But then I got a very profound understanding that if you understand the soul of a human being, you understand that if you want to change someone's hatred, you can't change it by saying to them how good we are. Legalization is nothing, like hate crimes are happening all the time. So what I'm trying to say, that what I understand is that we need to strengthen ourselves from inside. We need to psycho-educate our people. We need to, like the rabbi said, we need to bring more light to combat the darkness. We can't tear apart the darkness. We need to turn the light, and we need to unite. We need to learn about our roots, and it doesn't matter if you're religious or not, because every one of us felt the same in the October 7th. It wasn't an issue if you are doing the Shabbat or not. We were like pressing a button inside of our soul, and everyone was awakened. And this is the bottom that makes the difference for us. This is the time for us to unite and to take our secret weapon that we talked about before. The secret weapon is our mutual responsibility and the value of life and to light and to bring good to the world. And this is our effort, not to combat others. Like you said, Andy, we don't need to talk about what's going on in the Instagram. We need to strengthen ourselves. What we are doing here, this is one action for that. We need to do more of that. And we need to ask the UN to talk about it in front of them and to share this discussion, because this is what can make a change. And I pray for, that will happen as soon as possible.
Thank you. Ina, did you have a question?
Yes, actually, I had a question to Vera. She just spoke, so I wanted her to tell us, because it's not only about anti-Semitism, it's also promoting resilience. And people don't talk about how to promote resilience. What do you do? Like, what does the approach is? What is the methodology? At least in few words, because yes, we are about fighting anti-Semitism, but how do we build resilience? One thing is also, do you do any education for kids in school, about it, so they can grow up being adults, not reactive, but proactive and resilient? Can you please comment on that, because that's super important, I think.
Yeah, of
Thank
course.
Can I, and I want everyone to know, Dr. Rosenspitz is a psychoanalyst.
Oh, wow. So actually, when we were talking, I got a message from, we are doing a research now in ZAKA for checking the components of the resilience. And just I got the professor results for the survey that we made. And one of the most, the way to the way to predict resilience is the way that you are connected to spiritual resource. So I think that one of the most empowering component that we see in ZAKA when we are asking how do they deal with that and how did I dealt with what I saw myself, I was connecting to my roots. I was connecting to the Torah. I was connecting to our knowledge that are inside of our body. It's like we are having an epigenetic knowledge inside of us. And I developed a model that calls the lens of the spirit. I'm answering her question, that is using our inner self tools that we have inside. We don't just need psychologists for that. We are having like buttons from inside that are connected to meaning and purpose. And about your questions about the next generation, our kids, I think that one of the most profound lecture that they have is what we are dealing with now in Israel. My daughters and all of the young ages now, they are feeling something different from the October 7th. Much of them are talking about meaning and purpose more than ever. They are connecting to do good for others. This is one of the most powerful component of resilience. And we can hear about that, what Viktor Frankl wrote in the Holocaust. You know, when I've been to Shura base, I was sitting there for 6 hours shifts. And between escorting family to family, I took 2 books in my bag. One of them was Tehillim, and one of them was A Man Seeking for Meaning of Viktor Frankl. And every few hours I was opening just to get inspiration for this horrific moments. And one of the things that we can teach others is to find the new narrative that we need to accomplish now. This is our mission, to write the right narrative, uniting together, doing good for others. This is healing. This is part of healing.
Rabbi, did you have a question or comment?
I would comment continuation of what Barrett says. Well, you said it also. Loving your fellow or reacting towards your fellow is starting by loving yourself first. We see the young generation, the past 2 years, we were all under pressure of coming back, of the hostages. What's going to be with the hostages? We're sitting at home and they're in the tunnels. We're in an environment like this and they're starving, where we're all the time around living every moment of the hostages. But now that after we saw that the hostages came back, we're now a little bit calmer, but that's the worst time. We see it. So many people took their life, suicides, in the past 2-3 months. Every day, constantly, ZAKA gets calls from unnatural death. Every day, because people do not appreciate themselves. To be able to be kind to someone else, you have to relate to yourself, to know who you are and what you represent. When God created man, he gave Adam a name, Adam. Adam, if you spell it in Hebrew, is Aleph, Dalet, Mem. Aleph stands for God, Eloka. Dalet, Mem stands for blood. If you do not relate to God, you know how blood designs to evil. We have to believe that we're our creations of God. We have to show light to the world. And through that, we're able to grow our generations, to heal together and really be united. Jews, not Jews, we have to be united.
Well, I would like to close out this session. One last two.
Yeah, no, just mine's very quickly to the point. I've been to so many meetings that the time is of the essence. So I have to say thank you to the lovely lady in the front who spoke. We have to get united, it's true, because I'm atheist, by the way, I'm atheist. And the atheists, some atheist influencers who became out of that religion, maybe I cannot say that here, who came from that religion, are speaking about this. So you have to reach out to atheist community too.
And I would like to close this out.
Thank you.
3 things, thank you, that if you'd be so kind. First, I want to give a big round of applause to all the speakers, the participants. You were absolutely outstanding. I would like everyone to rise and please sing "To Be Led by Gazelle" in the Hatikva and then the Star Spangled Banner. And then there is food over there. When we're all done, please help yourself. So please rise.
And join.
And join. Yes, there are forms for you to fill out. And if you'd be kind enough to join. And I want to add one last thing. On Monday, November 24th at 5 p.m., we will have our business meeting online. So if we have your email address, we will send you an invitation. Then you can see the nitty-gritty underground. Some nice, some not so nice. But anyway, please, Gazelle.
And excuse me, I want to share just another thing. I want to thank Andy. And you're so humble, and I want to express my deepest gratitude to what you have been doing from the October 7th. You left your work in Columbia University. You're working, and I know, day and night without sleeping, all day for our nation, for our people, all over the world. So thank you for everything that you're doing.
We
love you, Amy.
Go ahead, Gazelle. Star-Spangled Banner, if we may, Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars blew the perilous sky. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you.